Hello, I'm Brent Ramsey, a technical advisor at Canon USA in New York. I went from full-time DP to Canon USA just after the C300 was announced. And in the last 3 years, I've been blown away by the images from that camera. But just like many of you, I've been suggesting improvements as to what the next generation of the C300 should be. Well, I'm happy to say someone's been taking notes. Lots and lots of notes. And here it is, the EOS C300 Mark II. The C300, and Canon for that matter, always made a big deal of the fact that Canon designed not only the lenses, but in camera, the image sensor, the processor, and the codec. And that's been a great strength of the relatively simple C300. But now with the C300 Mark II, Canon has changed every one of those ingredients. It starts with a new, reworked, redesigned, and re-engineered Super 35mm 8.85 megapixel sensor. The C300 Mark II offers a dynamic range of 15 stops and an amazing amount of shadow protection thanks to a new log gamma that's been created, Canon Log 2. It also has new dual Digic DV5 image processors. Instead of Digic DV3 that the C300 had, or the Digic DV4 like the C100 Mark II, now we've got 2 Digic DV5s. So you can expect some serious performance improvements and major reductions in false color, jaggies, chroma moire, and noise. A brand new Canon-designed codec, XF AVC Intra, that enables, yes, internal 4K 10-bit 422 recording. You asked for it, you got it. And 2K and HD and YCC 422 and RGB 444 in 10 or 12-bit. This is all recorded to dual CFast card slots. Canon engineers were looking for the right balance between ease of handling and very high image quality with this new codec. XF AVC Intra uses the MXF wrapper. It offers a variety of data rates for 4K and 2K recording, including a massive 410 megabits per second for 4K at 30p, and slow and fast frame rates up to 120 frames per second in 2K or HD. Completely developed by Canon and based on the international industry standard MPEG-4, it's an overall simpler file that's going to offer very high image quality. And besides the intra-frame version, there's XF AVC Long GOP. It's in lower data rates for 2K and HD. There's also XF AVC Proxy, which records to the camera's SD card slot. All right, here's something you may not have been expecting. If you want to shoot uncompressed, 4K RAW and 2K data can be output to an external recorder simultaneously while recording to CFast cards in camera. This essentially enables the same workflows as the EOS C500. Now let's have a closer look at the EOS C300 Mark II's newly designed sensor and how it compares to other sensor formats. It's a Super 35mm sensor, but just looking at it, you'll notice that it's slightly wider than Super 35mm. But it's essentially using the Super 35mm portion of the sensor for now. But the extra size is intriguing. They've made many improvements to it. And this includes a redesign to control the light gathering capabilities of the photo sites and improvements to the noise cancellation system. Fixed pattern noise has virtually been eliminated. All of this and much more contributes to the expanded dynamic range of 15 stops and ever lower noise levels. Also, the sensor readout, the time it takes to wipe the sensor clean and refresh it. It's twice as fast as the C300. So rolling shutter distortions have been drastically reduced. Now this is huge. Dual Pixel CMOS Autofocus ships installed in the C300 Mark II. Now, I know autofocus can be a sensitive subject among professionals, but a lot of us will take all the help we can get when it comes to shooting 4K. So, you can now get some big-time help thanks to some major breakthroughs with autofocus in the C300 Mark II. Even if you're using a cine-style lens, there's a new Focus Assist guide in the C300 Mark II that can help you out. There's always One Shot AF for a quick check. and continuous AF with AF lock. But Dual Pixel Autofocus in the C300 Mark II differs substantially from the original version. The biggest thing is the AF area has been increased to now 80% of the image display. Now you still get an AF frame, but you can make the guide smaller. And now you can move the AF frame area around the effective shooting area, and you can actually plan the shot and make allowances for it. Dual Pixel Autofocus in the C300 Mark II allows you to change the continuous AF speed. Do you want it to roll in softly or grab the subject quickly? There's 10 settings for that. Subject tracking sensitivity is also set in 7 levels. That controls how fast you want it to switch to or ignore another subject. And then there's a cool new feature called AF Boosted Manual Focus that comes into play when the system just doesn't have anything to work with, something that I like to call gray matter. When this occurs, lens movement is disabled, so there's no searching, and a yellow highlight in the frame urges you to perform manual focusing correction. Okay, and then this, really new and very helpful. It's called a focus guide. This on-screen guide has a pre-focus, in-focus, and post-focus display. And it's not just for EF. It works for manual focus cinema-style lenses as well. It exploits the extreme precision of dual pixel autofocus detection. When you see the green, you're in focus. And it also has face detection. Face AF now works with all EF lenses, not just the STM. And here's one more thing. The C300 Mark II also enables autofocus for the Cine Servo 17-120. That could be huge. So now we have 15 stops of dynamic range and this new log curve, Canon Log 2. It's a big leap, 3 additional stops. The peak white is now 1600% when ISO 800 is set. That's twice as high as the C300. And there have been improvements in both the low and the high sensitivity. The ISO settings now start at ISO 100 with unbelievable shadow protection. When you go up to our base sensitivity of ISO 800, it levels off throughout the ISO range at 6.3 stops above and 8.7 stops below. If you're used to shooting with cameras made by other camera manufacturers, then you know a dynamic range characteristic like this is not the norm. With the Canon EOS C300 Mark II, when you step up in ISO from the base sensitivity on, the disposition above and below middle gray remains the same. This new log curve preserves much more of the details in the dark areas. And this will bring the toe of the curve and the underexposure latitude into an area to compete with any camera manufacturer. You can still access original Canon Log, so no problem matching back with the EOS C300 Mark II, and it's greatly improved by these 15 stops of latitude as well. Also, there's been added this YDR flat gamma, and this is kind of a new twist on YDR. It's hard not to notice that the C300 Mark II now extends all the way up to ISO 102,400, and the noise levels throughout have been improved. But to help you out, the built-in NDs now expand from the original 0, 2, 4, and 6 stops to 8 and 10 stops. All the major color gamuts are in the C300 Mark II, BT 2020, DCI P3, and of course BT 709 for HD television. The C300 Mark II adds Cinema Gamut. Cinema Gamut encompasses all of these and every film stock ever made. So you could use this if you have something shot on film and you want to intercut something shot digitally, for instance. Custom picture settings offer a choice of 7 presets or tweak a look using picture settings. Color matrices match images from the EOS C300 Mark II with other Cinema EOS models or even other camera manufacturers. There's so much more to discuss about this camera, and ultimately, you're going to have to check one out yourself. But here's just a couple of things I thought of I want to urge you to check out, like sound recording. Sound recording in camera is 4-channel and 24 or 16-bit. The display, it now reads in T-stops as well as F-stops. And it's packed with LUTs for converting looks to 709, 2020, DCI, and even ACES. And all this can be sent out over the HDMI, the monitor out, or the rec out terminals. You can even send the waveform monitor out to onset monitors. The white balance has been extended for shooting underwater, and on and on. The C300 became a phenomenon with just 8 bits, with just 50 megabits per second and 8 bits. It found great success with documentary production as a B camera, and even as an A camera, and of course an everyday rental. But now with these improvements, I really don't see any limitations with the EOS C300 Mark II. That's been an overview of the major imaging improvements, but I'm dying to show you the reworked camera body design. There's lots of functional and operational improvements that you'll want to check out. So next, a quick walk around, and we'll look at the camera itself.